Before the second Sunday of Lent, Friday preparation, working for God. At any given time, the ancient order of the Knights Templar had between 2/3 and 3/4 of its members stationed in Europe, not in the Holy Land. These brothers were spread throughout Christendom in Ireland, France, Italy, Germany, and beyond, where they managed the order's vast estates and economic enterprises. They worked farms, raised sheep, operated mills, oversaw vineyards, and administered urban properties. All of this labor served a single end: to sustain the military and charitable mission of the order in the Holy Land, namely the protection of pilgrims and the defense of Christian access to the sacred places. This economic network made the Templars both admired and resented. They were exceptionally efficient, disciplined, and incorruptible by the standards of their age. Indeed, among all the medieval religious orders, the Templars possessed a unique distinction. They were never credibly accused or had any mocking songs made about them, like the other religious orders, until the fabricated charges raised during the infamous trials initiated by Philip IV of France. Those accusations were not moral in origin, but financial and political, an attempt by a heavily indebted king to destroy the order and seize its assets rather than repay what he owed. Because of their reputation for justice and generosity, peasants and laborers actively sought employment on Templar lands. The order was known for feeding its workers well, paying fairly, and maintaining order. At the same time, they were feared, not out of cruelty, but because anyone who entered a Templar house entered its entire way of life. Lay workers were expected to participate in measure in the rhythm of prayer, discipline, and moral seriousness that governed the brothers themselves. When correction was necessary, it was often firm. The Templars did not permit softness in any other that they did not indulge in themselves. They were truly sons of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, who observed that superiors who refuse to demand difficult things of those under their care are not merciful rulers, but kind tyrants, men who harm souls under the pretense of gentleness. Insisting on discipline and self-sacrifice, rightly ordered, is an act of charity. In contrast, men know that the modern church has grown wary of encouraging heroic effort, or any effort that does not suit the sensibilities of overindulgent suburban women. The faithful are often discouraged from serious penance or demanding ascetic practices, and this caution is not entirely without reason. Many, when attempting too much too quickly, become overwhelmed, discouraged, or even physically unwell. The consequence has been a widespread timidity, a shrinking from sacrifice, and an attachment to comfort that stands in quiet contradiction to the gospel found in both cleric and laity alike. The Christian life is not meant to be lived at the threshold of ease. Our Lord does not call us merely to emotional assent or intellectual agreement, but to embracing the cross, which is heavy and will make us suffer. Total righteousness consists of this, that if God were to ask for our life, we would be ready and glad to give it. In daily practice, this does not usually mean martyrdom, but it does mean offering our strength, our attention, our labor, and our endurance to God each day until real fatigue sets in. Fatigue born for love is a sign that we have truly spent ourselves in the pursuit of justice, that is, the love of what is good and the hatred of every evil. In this light, the long years that Templar brothers spent laboring in the fields of France or Italy were not a lesser calling. They were preparing for war. Manual labor, obedience, shared prayer, and disciplined restraint for men who could later face the horrors of war in the Holy Land, where service was brutal, conditions were harsh, and death was a constant expectation. So dangerous was this service that kings, nobles, and even family members would sometimes plead for beloved Templars not to be sent east, knowing full well that such a posting often meant never returning.